Hello students. Today we are going to discuss an important topic, meetings. And this is the first video on meetings. There's going to be another video on meetings as well. And as you can see on the PowerPoint, I am Anju Sehgal Gupta. So, what are meetings? Meetings are primarily gathering of people who have to exchange information, they have to plan joint activities, they have to review action which is taken on already agreed upon programs. So this is what meetings are all about. And meetings are distinguished from chance encounters of people because people also meet. But they normally meet without any specific purpose. Or if they meet with a specific purpose, it's less formal. Meeting, however, is a formal activity. You've all attended meetings, so you know that. Now, in a meeting, the participants present their ideas, and these ideas are thoroughly discussed. And the most desirable and considered decisions are made, usually through consensus, though when there is no consensus, it is sometimes through voting. Meetings are very important in an organization because good suggestions help organization to plan new strategies or take new initiatives. These meetings are successful if the participants are well informed about the purpose of meeting and if the meeting is guided by good leaders, that means a good chairperson. So let's talk about classification of meetings. There may be different types of meetings, such as an inaugural meeting, board meeting, annual meeting, committee meeting, extraordinary general meeting, and so on. These are highly formal meetings. And meetings can also be classified under two broad heads, public meetings and private meetings. And actually we are going to dwell more on the private meetings because that's what happen in most companies. And private meetings may be further classified into two types, general meetings and committee or subcommittee meetings. The general meetings could be the annual general meeting or the special or the extraordinary general meeting. Let's begin with public meetings and be done with it. So they are attended by members of the public. It's a general invitation that may be published in newspapers or displayed in posters and distributed as leaflets. Everybody has a right to attend these public meetings, and normally in a RWA, Residential Welfare Association, you often have these public meetings, sort of public-private meetings. And these meetings often disseminate information, impart knowledge, create public opinion for a particular cause, belief, or some other matter of general interest. These public meetings are also held to raise money, increase membership, arouse public interest, make spiritual or material appeal, or to educate the people. And they are held in large auditoriums and in open grounds or public parks. So they're much, much more, or let me say, they're much less formal. Now, private meetings, and we are going to dwell on these private meetings. The admission is restricted to only members of the association or the society. And these are meetings of companies, trade unions, clubs, and other organized bodies. And they transact lawful business of the organization. They are held on private premises and not in a public place. And these private meetings may be classified as general meetings and committee meetings. What are general meetings? These general meetings are called to discuss matters of common interest to members of the organization. And every member of the company or association has a right to receive notice of such meetings and to attend them. Generally, such meetings are held once a year and they're called the annual general meetings. Let's talk about the annual general meeting. The business which is transacted at the annual general meeting include electing members of the board of directors of a company or of managing committee and other office bearers of an association as provided in the bylaws. There's also consideration of the auditor's report and passing of the accounts of the previous year. Also appointing auditors for the next year. Also consideration and approval of the report submitted by the board of directors of the company or by the managing committee. Preparing the budget for the ensuing year and any other business of common interest. So an annual general meeting is very, very important, taken very seriously. Then there is an extraordinary general meeting. Any general meeting of a company or society other than the general meeting, annual general meeting, is called a special or extraordinary general meeting. This is called when any business needs to be transacted immediately and cannot be kept pending until the annual meeting. And this meeting may be called by resolution of the board or the managing committee, or if there is a requisition from members as per the bylaws. These meetings are called to make an alteration in the memorandum or in the article or the bylaws, sometimes unfortunately for the removal of a director or any statutory officer of the organization. So this is when an extraordinary general meeting is called. Now let's turn to committee meetings. A company is managed by a board of directors whose members are elected from the general body of the shareholders. Other associations are managed by an executive committee or the governing body or the managing committee. And the members here are elected as per their respective bylaws. And the meeting of such committee are called committee meetings. And such meetings are held, committee meetings are held from time to time to frame policy as per the guidance of the general body meeting and to take various decisions relating to the aims and objectives of the associations. All matters relating to admission or suspension of members, recruitment, transfer, promotion, retirement of staff, loans, purchases, maintenance of accounts, movable and immovable properties of the association are considered in committee meetings and necessary action taken. The meetings are attended only by the members of the managing committee, but other members can be invited as special invitees to give expert advice on particular matters. Okay? So often you find these special invitees. When certain matters need deeper study before a decision can be taken by the managing committee, a subcommittee, which consists of 2 or more members of the managing committee, is appointed. And this subcommittee may be authorized to co-opt more members if required. And this report is submitted to the managing committee or the board of directors, which appoints the subcommittee and not to the general body. Later it may be placed in the general body, but it is not given to the general body. And if the general body appoints a committee or subcommittee, then the reports of the findings of the committee are submitted to the chairperson of the association. These are highly formal transactions. So it has to be a valid meeting. And to be valid, a meeting must be properly conducted. and these points must be kept in view regarding the rules governing meetings. Now, if the rules are laid down under any act, it could be the Companies Act, it could be the Cooperative Societies Act, those acts have to be followed without exception. If the society or association has framed its own rules for conduct of meetings, then these will be followed unless there is a conflict with the rules prescribed under law. So you cannot conduct any meeting in conflict with the law of the land. That has to be very clear. If the rules are not prescribed under law or framed by the association, so what is customary and established by convention should govern conduct of meetings. Sometimes when even customs or conventions have not been laid down, especially at the initiation stages, members who are present may decide upon the rules to be followed. But as I said earlier, no rule can be against the law of the land. Now, preparation for and conduct of meetings. That's very important too. It's not only the meeting that is important. The preparation for the meeting is perhaps even more important. So, there has to be a notice. And that is in the form of an invitation to members to attend the meeting on a specified date at a particular time and place. So nothing ambiguous about it. And for constituting a valid meeting, proper notice about the calling of the meeting should be sent to all the persons who are entitled to attend the meeting. If proper notice is not given, the proceedings of the meeting will not be valid. So, the notice of the meeting must be definite, absolute, unconditional. Notice must be explicit, no ambiguity, and it should be intelligible to the recipients. Now, what are the main points to be considered at time of issuing notice? The form of the notice. This is usually prescribed in the rules and regulations of the organization. If it is not, then a written notice must be sent by post, which is followed up by a telephonic check to ascertain whether people are coming for the meeting, so that proper arrangements can be made accordingly. Now consider contents of a notice. A notice convening meeting must clearly state the date, time, place, and business of the meeting. Also, the time and place must be reasonably convenient to members to attend the meeting. So you can't do what you like. What is specified in the bylaws must be strictly followed, because otherwise members can question and then the meeting is null and void. If business has to be transacted in the meeting, it should be clearly indicated. The bylaws of the organization also stipulate the minimum period of notice for calling the meeting. Then you have the agenda. Now, who should prepare the agenda? It is the responsibility of the secretary to prepare agenda in consultation with the chairperson. It should be prepared much before the date of the meeting, so that it can be circulated among members well on time. The agenda should be brief, exact, and should contain relevant reference to matters to be discussed. So, the agenda of the meeting constitutes an essential part of the notice and is often sent along with it. Then there are two types of items that are listed on the agenda paper. They're the routine items on which little debate is needed. Generally, things which, so-and-so members have been appointed, so and so members have retired. There's not much debate. Those are basically to give information. But there are special items on which detailed debate is expected. And for the inclusion, especially of the special items, the secretary should consult the chairperson. So what is the role of the secretary? Very important. So the secretary should maintain current file for meetings, keep all the relevant papers and reference, should prepare a tentative agenda, get it approved by the chairperson, should finalize date, time and place of meeting in consultation with chairperson, should finalize notice and agenda to convene the meeting, and to arrange for the dispatch of notice as per the bylaws, take steps for getting the venue, the seating and lighting has to be perfect, speaking and hearing equipment should be working and in order, there has to be arrangement for refreshments, drinking water, and the secretary should ensure that everyone is properly served. Also, they have to appoint trained assistants to receive the invitees and record their attendance. They have to check their entry cards if entry is restricted. So they have to also check the verify and count the proxies if allowed under the bylaws. And a record of the proxies must be available before the meeting commences. Then the secretary should check the arrangements for recording the proceedings if that is desired. Necessary stationery should be available to members. So pencils, papers, files, all should be in order and is the job of the secretary. Then copies of the chairperson's speech, reports, statements must be prepared well in advance for circulation. They can be handed over to the members as they enter or distribute after the members have taken their seats. And then, of course, they should ensure that the minutes book, attendance register, legal documents, correspondence files, and other material related to the agenda items should be available in the meeting. Then we come to a very important role, the role of the chairperson, his or her powers and duties. So one is to conduct meetings. The chairperson has the authority to maintain order and decorum in meetings. Has to conduct the meeting strictly according to bylaws. Can stop, they have a lot of powers, introduction of irrelevant matters, and restrain any misuse of procedure. Can even stop a speaker from using improper and unparliamentary language and order expunging of such remarks. To confirm minutes. The chairperson has to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting in the subsequent meeting. And this can be quite a robust item, because don't think it is just it is a routine, but it can lead to a lot of discussion. Then to decide on points of order. There could be points of order raised by any member attending. If some of the members speak something irrelevant to the motion, or if there is no quorum presented. And the chairperson has the power to take up the matter and give his or her ruling. They can expel disorderly members, as I mentioned earlier. So disorderly behavior is not allowed. They have to give a warning, the chairperson has to give a warning, and then the member can be ejected. Then if more than one speaker rises to speak at the same time, the chairperson has to decide who should speak first. The chairperson has the power to stop discussion on a matter if he or she finds that the discussion is dragging or it's going on for too long and that every speaker is actually repeating the same point, or if some members are trying to prolong the discussion in order to avoid a motion to be put to vote, which sometimes happens. Then they can also order a poll. A poll is a method of voting which helps to ascertain the sense of a meeting. So the members can cast their votes orally or in writing. And this normally happens when there is no unanimity of opinion among the members. So then the chairperson can order to take a poll, and if a member demands a poll, then the chairperson is bound to order the poll. Then the chairperson and the casting vote. Like any member, a chairperson has a right to cast vote. This is known as the chairperson's vote or a deliberative vote. And the rules and regulation of a registered body also empower the chairperson the right to cast an extra vote known as the casting vote. And the chairperson should vote very judiciously and only to serve the best interests of the organization. And of course, to declare the result of the voting. Also, to reject the decisions. The chairperson is a protector of the law, so any unlawful decisions, even by a majority of speakers, if they are unlawful, can be rejected by the chairperson. Then to adjourn a meeting, provided that the meeting has become disorderly, there is attendance shortfall, or if the members of the meeting decide that they will take up the remaining items of the agenda in the next meeting. Duties of the chairperson. So, what are the duties? Appointment as chairperson. The chairperson has to look at that as well. Duly convene the meeting according to the rules and regulations. See to the quorum, confirm the previous meetings, must see how the items on the agenda are discussed. Are they in serial order set down in the agenda? They can be varied if the members agree. We talked about maintaining order. Also, the chairperson has to see that the members address the chairperson and do not have arguments amongst themselves. The chairperson has to insist on that. There can be no discussion unless there is specification. So, the chairperson has to ensure that motions are moved in a positive and appropriate manner, that they are duly seconded. No discussion is allowed unless there is a specific motion before the meeting, and motions are not failing to meet the scope of the meeting, or they should not be badly drafted. The chairperson has to give equal opportunities to everybody to speak, should decide on the priority of the members as they speak, to allow the mover of the motion to reply to the debate. Only remember, the mover of the motion has the right to speak twice, other members can only speak once. To give ruling on points of order and to ascertain the sense that the meeting is properly conducted, and to ensure that the proper minutes are maintained. So, this is where we end, and in meeting 2, we will have the details of how a meeting is conducted, discussed. Thank you very much.